Good morning from Junction, Texas. This is Steve Frank, also known as the Deep Truth Traveler. It has been a very exciting, very interesting last few days. More interesting than possibly I can even share on here. I'm not sure. We'll kind of see how I go. I don't want to step on people's toes or get myself in trouble. But anyway, I was in Flagstaff, Arizona a couple of days ago. Met with a gentleman there who I stayed actually in the hostel with. And we spent the last few days together, ended up in El Paso, Texas. Met some of his friends along the way in Albuquerque, New Mexico as well, and I really learned a lot of interesting stuff. Before I get into it specifically, let me tell you this: you can contact me. Check out my website at on MySpace. It's myspace.com, Deeper Truth Traveler. That's where my webpage is, or my MySpace page, or whatever you call that stuff. So feel free to check that out. You can always comment on YouTube. Again, I do appreciate all the personal emails that I've been getting, your help and the offers to stay at people's homes and that type of thing has been truly, truly wonderful. Again, I'm in Junction, Texas. If you'd like me to stop by, visit with you, talk with you, if you want to help me with a place to stay while I'm in your area, that would be absolutely wonderful. So send me a message, and I kind of get back to you when I can get back to you. It's kind of hard when you're on the road. The other thing I want to tell you is, before I left, a couple of weeks ago, a friend had given me a movie link. It's zeitgeistmovie.com. Zeitgeist, I believe, is ZEITGEIST movie.com. You need to watch that movie. I am telling you, you've got to watch that movie. It won the award for the Activist Movie of the Year. It freaked me out. It made me think. It made me question everything that I know. Really a lot of facts. It starts out a little bit slow, but man, once it gets going, it is great information. The first part too could be a little sacrilegious in some ways, coming from a strong Christian background, it was almost offensive to me at some level. At the same time, it really made me think. Gets into a lot of good political stuff. Has some 9/11 conspiracy theory kind of stuff. It's got all kinds of stuff that simply will open up your mind and make you think. I don't know, exactly what do you believe or what you don't believe or that type of thing. That's not the point. The point is it opens your mind and it makes you think. That it's time to stop just listening to what people are telling you, what the media says, and you really got to think for yourself and look at the facts, because the reality is not everything really seems to add up. Now, I had met in Albuquerque, New Mexico with a man who was the chief master cooker of methamphetamines. Been in prison for 20 years, got out. He's clean as a whistle. He's getting his life together, all these great things. He's a great, great guy. We had a wonderful time in conversation, but he told me something about what's known as redemption. I had heard about this before from other people. I didn't fully understand it. I still don't fully understand it, but I'm going to tell you what I do know or what I understand. And I find this interesting because I'd asked the question at the beginning that basically said, are we really a slave to corporate America, or are we really free? Are we free human beings, or are we really slaves to the corporations in which we work for and which we serve, that really control not just our country, but control our political system, our politics? Let's face it, money talks. This is what I learned, is that after the Civil War, obviously the United States of America was hurting financially. A lot of our young people had died and so forth, and so we needed financial help to rebuild our country. England offered to help us, but it was a conditional help, and it was this. At that time, we were known as United States of America, which meant we were a sovereign country. In other words, if, like in the Revolutionary War, we basically told England to screw off, and nothing they could really do about it. And so for them to help us again, we needed to move from that level of common law into a level of corporate law. Now that's international law, so if they loan us money and we don't pay it back, there's actually worldwide international consequences that would have to be paid. And so part of them helping us was that we actually incorporated as a country. And so now, ever since after the Revolutionary War, we're actually a corporation. Now what that means is that the people within this country cannot be under common law as human beings, that we have to be, in effect, small corporations. Now, if you look at your birth certificate, if you look at your social security card, etc., your name is always in full capital letters. The reason is because when you are born and you register, so to speak, in these ways, you actually become a corporation. And so you're really just nothing more than a corporation that's serving or a slave to a higher corporation. Now, if you look at like on your birth certificate, there's always a red number. That number is red because it's considered your blood number. And that blood number then kind of indicates it's almost like a slave number that you know, you've got to pay taxes, you've got to do all this stuff. And so under the redemption process, you can actually forfeit your corporate right. You can forfeit the fact that you're a corporation, and you can take back your name and really be a sovereign or autonomous individual. In effect, you can almost establish like your own country within a country. You don't have to pay taxes. You could have your own monetary system, because in effect you are autonomous. And so it's a really interesting concept. I did a little bit more research on it last night. I think there's a website that's known as redemptionservices.com. Of course, they're trying to sell stuff, but there's some study guides on there that walk you through things like the Illuminati. They walk you through Freemasonry, how a lot of these worldwide international things came together. Some of their mission statements and so forth will literally freak you out as far as controlling the world. If you have a biblical background, you're familiar with things like a one world order and so forth. It talks a lot about that kind of stuff in some of their documentation. A lot of stuff dealing with like Lucifer and kind of satanic type things as well. And so it's really, really interesting a read. So there's a study guide again at redemptionservices.com. You can look at that. And but I have settled this thought, I'm pretty sure in my own mind, that in effect we're nothing but slaves. We are slaves to a corporation. We are corporate slaves to a corporation. Now I'll say this on top of that. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. The more you think about it, is if you were to become totally autonomous, if we were all that way, really what you're talking about is a certain level of barbarianism. In other words, there's certain laws that I really do like. I like the fact that I have a freeway to drive on. You know, I like the fact that I have a military that hopefully protects me at some level. And so it does bring about a lot of good. And so the really question becomes, is it better to be a slave, or is it really better to be free? Now that reminds me of kind of the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt, and they're saying, hey, there ain't no food out here. We're wandering around, you know, not going anywhere. Let's go back and be slaves in Egypt. At least we had some food. At least we had some shelter. At least we had something. And so, you know, maybe as a country today, maybe as people today, maybe we're just better off being slaves. Maybe that's what it is. I was reading one writer who in prison was reflecting on you know, what it would like to be free again on the outside. When he got on the outside and he wrote the book, in his reflection he said, you know what, maybe life in itself is a prison. So maybe freedom has really nothing to do with whether you're a slave or free, imprisoned or not imprisoned. Maybe freedom is something that's just very much internal as far as the state in which I live. I don't know. They're good questions. They're good thoughts. But that's kind of where I'm at today. I will go back and say that I'd met some people involved again in the Juarez drug cartel, or used to be involved. Let me clarify that. That was exceptionally interesting down there in Juarez right now. There's tremendous drug wars going on between a couple different factions. And so that was exceptionally interesting. But I have to admit this. I have to admit that I got a little bit sidetracked from my mission. I've lost focus over the last few days. I could see a difference in my attitude, a difference in my emotions. You know, before that, when I was driving, I felt free as a bird, just cruising the open road. I'm observing the natural beauty around me. Yesterday, driving, I felt a little bit, I'm not going to say depressed, but I felt a little bit discouraged, like what in the world am I doing out here? And so it really did change maybe my perspective of things a little bit. And so hopefully today I'm back on track. I'm back seeking truth. Again, I've got some great video footage with my actual video camera that I just haven't had a chance to put together. There's some video footage of when I was up at the Grand Canyon. There's some interviews that I did with a paganist, as well as with a couple of Christian churches, and just some of their viewpoints and concepts. And so I want to get that stuff out. I just haven't really had a chance to do it. I would encourage you to send me an email. Again, you can do that off of YouTube. My email at AOL is DEEPR, kind of a shortened version of Deeper. Truth, spelled out, Traveler is TRAVLR at AOL.com. So that's my my America Online email address. Again, you can also get me at MySpace. You can get me off of YouTube. So there's all kinds of ways to get in touch with me. If you know of a place where I could stay, if you know of a place where I could work. I really need to find some work. I'm hoping to do that in Austin and Houston, down in this area right now. I'm really hoping to find some work. I really need to make some money. And so if you have something available, you know somebody who does, please, please, please contact me and let me know. So a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of good stuff happening. I'm going to talk to you later. I am the Deep Truth Traveler. Peace and love. I'm out of here.